Hello, this is the last of the videos I'm going to make on how to use Nvivo, and in this one I'm going to concentrate on ways in which Nvivo can help you do analysis. So the first one I'm going to show you is in queries, and over here. So we need to start a new query in the queries box. So new query. This time I'm going to show you how to create a word cloud. So by selecting new query and word frequency, we then get a word frequency query, and I can select the number of words I want it to create or count in my word cloud. I can select the items that I am interested in. So I only want a word cloud. I'm going to get a word cloud of my secondary sources because I haven't really seen them very much so far. And I say OK. I want to look at stemmed words. So if talking are the same, that's fine. And I'm going to add to the project, calling it a word frequency query. Second sources, and I can put in the word, I put in the description the fact that I've used stemmed words, 1,000 words counted, and any other specifications I've put in there. Okay, and I run the query, and we get the summary of the number of words. But then I click over here on the right, it says Summary, Word Cloud, Tree Map, Cluster Analysis. So I'm interested in the word cloud. And my secondary sources, all on the Lovelock's phenomena, we see that the #1 word is Frankfurt, which is very surprising when it comes to Lovelock's, because I would have thought that Paris, with its problems with the bridges falling down, would have been in the news much more frequently than Frankfurt. So this tells me something I didn't know about what is in my secondary sources. So other ways in which this data can be presented is the tree map. So this is, I think, a little less useful, but it does show relationships between words. And you can also see a cluster analysis of how these words appear together. But if you wanted to look at a pretty way to do your visual presentation of data, word clouds are an effective way of doing this. So the second thing I'm going to show you in terms of analysis is in the top button where it says Explore. I'm going to show you these mapping functions. So we have 3 different maps that can be created. We've got a mind map, a project map, and a concept map. So first I'm going to do a mind map, test mind map 1, because I created one earlier when I was playing around. So this mind map brings up just a circle, and we can adjust it. I can select what do I want the middle of my mind map to be anchored to. So in this case I'm going to anchor my mind map to thinking, and I can then add sibling ideas to thinking. So I thought is also I think a sibling idea to thinking, and over here I added a second one which I'm going to call cognition. All of these things relate to thinking in some way. And then I can have a child idea from cognition, and I can call this brain. And so I can change the color. I make this blue. I'll make this blue, but because this is a child one, I'm going to make it purple. Ooh, it's a terrible color, purple. We'll go a little bit lighter. There we go. So I can change the colors, I can change the the outline of them. But if you look up at the top left, I can change the way in which it's presented, so it's more clearly, I think, able to be understood. So there's various ways in which this information can be presented. So this is a mind map. This is where you create the relationship between ideas that fits what you think in your head. So it's a way of building a conceptual model. The other thing we have is the project map. So project map 1. So here I can take the codes and other data that's already included in the project and start to build relationships between that information. So here I'd start up at the top where it says add project items, and I'm going to start with my nodes and say okay. So here are all my nodes and their relationship between nodes. I can change what is shown here, so I can take out the connector labels, and I can take out the links between, somewhere I can take out the links between them. I'm struggling to find it, but anyway, I'll leave everything in for this demonstration. I can also have associated items. So I've got sources that I have coded in my academic literature. So I can just select a couple of these, or I can select all of them. So holding the shift key down, I select them all, and I click and drag them into my project map. So here we have all 4 of the sources I've currently coded and their relationship to the codes that I have built. So this is, I think, a little bit messy, but if you go to the top left-hand corner, there are ways to adjust how it is presented. So there's the first one that I don't know what any of these things are called, but there you see the separation into the 4 different sources and the codes as they relate to each of those sources. So I can see that branding relates much more to this Kerrigan and Hart and Fisher one than it relates to these 2 down here, which seem to relate much more heavily to simplification and framing. Or I can choose this hierarchical structure. Ooh, that's a terrible map. I don't like that at all. I don't think it tells me much of anything that's useful. I can go with this circular layout where you can see how things are clustered together around a map. And finally, we see much more tree kind of map. So this is another type of way of mapping out your codes with your sources and other kinds of items that you might have included in your analysis, things like memos and the like. And the final map, concept map, which I'm going to call concept map. Here we, instead of importing things from your project, you get to sort of build your thinking from scratch. So who am I going to put in the middle? I'm going to put person in the middle. So, and then I can add a square, and I'm going to call this square thinking. Whoops, or in my bad spelling, thinking. So I'm going to change the color. So I can then create a connector between this person and their thinking. I need to go back to pointer. So thinking about what? So I can add a circle, which I edit the label on and call brands. And I add another circle. People are thinking about life. And I add one more and I say that they're thinking about choice. And I think because I'm relating these all to what people are thinking about, I add connectors. So here you can start to build a conceptual framework of either your own thinking, the same way as in a mind map, or you can build a concept map of theories themselves. So in terms of this analysis, a lot of it is not automated. You do need to put a lot of your own ideas into the analysis, but it is a way of framing your thinking and linking it to the data that you have.